very well. This is Uwe von Schamann on a roll as the field goal kicker of the Miami Dolphins, set to get the proceedings underway. The 2-0 Dolphins against the 2-0 Raiders in this young 1983 NFL season. Von Schamann drills it deep to Clee Montgomery, and wisely Greg Pruitt moves across and tells young Clee Montgomery to stay there. And here comes the quarterback, Jim Plunkett, who's had more comebacks than Billy Martin coming out onto the field. He leads the Raider offense, an offense that, while it has not been explosive in the first two games, is noted for its explosiveness. They'll take the risk. They like to go with the bomb, and the man that can hang it up is Jim Plunkett. The deep man on the outside, of course, is Cliff Branch, and one of the great ones to come into this game who performed so admirably for the Southern California Trojans right on this very same field as their Marcus Allen working behind this line. And a good one it is. The Raiders have always felt that they wanted size in their offensive line, and they have it. They have a little weak spot on the right side perhaps tonight. Mickey Marvin, a fine right guard, is not expected to play. In his place, it'll be Steve Sylvester, the veteran from Notre Dame, who plays all the positions along the line. Jim Plunkett brings up the Raiders' first offensive play of the night from the 20-yard line. Kenny King is in there with Marcus Allen, and on 1st and 10, Plunkett goes back and has to dump it off, and he goes to Kenny King. King breaks the tackle and down the sideline over the 25-yard line to the 26-yard line, taken out of bounds by Mark Brown. That's the front three. Now, the Miami Dolphin defense will change constantly. Doug Betters, Baumauer, Bocamper, familiar names. The man you saw at the top of the show, A.J. Dewey, he moves all over the field, but it's a very disciplined defense, unlike the way the Raiders used Ted Hendricks. The secondary, it's been hurt by the loss of Don McNeil at the left cornerback, and they are hurting at linebacker. Of course, the tragic loss of Larry Gordon in the offseason from a heart attack. And Ernie Roan, the inside linebacker on the right side, is not expected to go tonight. Mark Brown, a rookie to do, is replacing him. 2nd down and 4, Marcus Allen, left side up close to a first down near the 30-yard line. The former Heisman Trophy Award winner.
Yeah, if you notice Marcus on the first play, he got a real nice comeback block for Kenny King. He hit Bob Baumauer, and Bob had to get up a little slow, and I don't think they expected Marcus to be the guy to be the physical one for him today. But the Oakland Raiders' basic game plan in the past against the Miami Dolphins is to try to beat them up. They found in the past that they can get physical with them and take advantage of that later on in the game.
Less than a yard to go for the first down for the Raiders. King and Allen, movement a little bit on the part of Allen. Surge might have got the first down. It will be dependent upon where they mark it. And already Ray Guy is coming back out onto the field. That was Mark Brown, the 9th round draft pick, who's filling in to the right side for the Miami Dolphins. And now Ray Guy takes his troops, the punting unit, with the Raiders back off the field as Marcus Allen over the top got the first down. And speaking of Marcus Allen, it's kind of interesting. Last year he led the NFL in scoring. And that was the first time a non-kicker had led the NFL in scoring since the man in our booth did it back in 1975, O.J. Simpson. And he was the first rookie to do it since Gale Sayers did it back in 65. Just a remarkable athlete, a good receiver, a good runner. Number 32, Marcus Allen, a former high school quarterback, so he will throw the ball. On 1st down and 10, Plunkett will put it up on top. Man wide open is Barnwell, the speedy outside receiver, out over the 40-yard line to the 43, wide open back there. Great speed, Howard, they have on the outside, and those 4 deep men that they've burned with Branch and Muhammad and Barnwell and Williams.
They really do have that speed, and tonight viewers will get to see a guy named Dokie Williams, a fine long jumper who is developing into a class act. Meanwhile, there's Barnwell. He's come along very well. Remember the night he took the big bomb from Mark Wilson? Wilson's first throw, Barnwell's first score.
They can fly on the outside. This is Allen. He didn't like what was happening inside, so he breaks it off to the outside. Pursued there by Charlie Bowser at the right outside linebacker position, but Allen was able to get a couple. Give him 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins would be a difficult team to establish a running game on early. The way they play basic on 1st down, they play the run. Their defensive linemen don't really try to penetrate. They try to get their hands on the offensive linemen and just flow to the ball. And they're a pretty tough team to run on early in the game unless you got a passing game going and you're forcing those guys to try to put pressure on the quarterback. Then it's going to be hard to establish a good running game.
Bill Arnsparger under Don Shula has done a great job with them. They are very disciplined. They go where they're supposed to go, and they rarely make mistakes. Very difficult to beat as we watch Marcus Allen again, who is the workhorse thus far. Very warm night, very humid, temperature about 85, 87. As Allen gets over midfield, short of the first down by about 3, and they'll mark it near the 49-yard line.
Somehow he got about 5 yards out of that, which is the way he runs. He gets more yardage than you think he's getting. Kind of slithers.
He's a lot stronger than he appears, and he has excellent balance.
They're down and 3 now for the Raiders. Barnwell, split to the right. That's Cliff Branch, the speedy veteran up at the top of the screen. Plunkett wanted Branch, had to settle for the tight end, Todd Christensen, who has another Raider first down near the 40-yard line of the Miami Dolphins. Bob Brzezinski in there on the coverage.
Interesting thing about Plunkett, Juice. He's generally speaking a maligned quarterback because he can look terrible. But the Raiders have a fixed policy. They're not even concerned with percentage of receptions. Plunkett is a big play man, and he's proved out in that regard. And somehow he's a winner. That's all that matters.
You're right, Howard.
Read the defense well. Branch double covered. He knew that Christensen could not be, and he came back to Christensen for the first down. Here's Allen. Slithering move to the inside, and once again it's going to be Allen for about 5. Down close to the 35-yard line again. Brzezinski on the stop.
As I said earlier, you know, the Oakland Raiders, they don't try to do anything fancy against the L.A. Raiders.
That's one.
That's one. We're having better. The L.A. Raiders, they don't try to do anything fancy against the Miami Dolphins. Over the years, they've just tried to muscle them. Miami tend to have average-sized defensive linemen. They don't have those 270, 80-pound guys, and they just try to muscle them up front.
Drive of about 5 minutes thus far for the Raiders up to the opening kickoff. Fred Hawkins, 27, setback. As the ball goes once again to Allen. Once again, Allen produces. And it looks like another Raider first down inside the 30-yard line, or very close to it.
You called him a workhorse, and he certainly is. A most durable athlete. There's Tom Flores, a most durable man. A man who never has been properly publicized. As you look at Allen there, 20 yards and 6 rushes so far. Flores, a man who conquered tuberculosis. Never made a big fuss about it. Quality guy. Much better coach than he's given credit for being, because he works for Davis, who gets the publicity.
Inches, as you can see, for the first down.
Well, they're doing something interesting right away. They're getting the ball to Marcus Allen. You know, one of Marcus's mild complaints, he hasn't really argued about it, but he felt in the first 2 games he didn't get the ball enough. And a back like him would like to have the ball at least 25 times a game, either running and receiving.
In the production meeting, I'll get this in quickly, Frank. You said to Flores, you're giving the ball to Marcus enough? And Marcus said, Flores said, did Marcus ask you to ask me that?
As Hawkins over the left side. He'll have a Raider first down, hurdling over Big Charlie Hanna and Bruce Davis on the left side. And the Raiders now have run off over 5-6 minutes, or close to 6 minutes here in the first quarter. Frank Hawkins out of the University of Nevada, Reno 3 years ago, came up as a bit of a surprise as a 10th round draft pick a couple of years ago, but shouldn't have been, because they gained over 5,000 yards in his career. They thought he was too short. Thought he was too slow, and he's been quite a producer for the Raiders. That's number 27, Frank Hawkins. 12th play of this drive near the 28-yard line of the Dolphins. Quick toss. It goes to Allen. He turns it so quickly. Flag is down as Allen is down near the 21. Pops it up. The Dolphins are saying they've got it, and they do have it. Mark Brown made the hit. There was a flag down. And it is going to work against the Raiders, so Miami's going to have the football. Red Passion, the referee tonight.
This is a problem with any team at any football level, high school, college, or pro, when you keep grinding it out. Sooner or later, there's usually a mistake, and this was it.
Well, that's the way Miami plays defense. Miami defense is geared not to give you the big play. They said if you can drive down the field and score on them, well, you can have it. But they wait for you to make a mistake, and they take advantage of it. We'll be back in a moment.
Here's collected the fumble from Marcus Allen, and Miami has the football following a 6-minute and 15-second drive by the Raiders. The Dolphins now at their own 19-yard line. The quarterback, of course, David Whitley, up looking it over. That's Nat Moore, the veteran wide receiver, in motion. Under Franklin pulls ahead for about 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Let's take a look at this offensive unit. David Whitley, of course, out of LSU. A bit of a surprise when he came up a few years ago as an 8th-round draft pick. There he is. Howard said it at the top of the show. He can have spectacular days and nights, and others that are not so spectacular. And there it is, the skill positions, if you will. Now over at right tackle, Roy Foster is in there for Eric Laxo. Roy Foster, of course, one draft pick by Miami a year ago, played his collegiate football right here in the Coliseum. 2nd down and 7. Mark close to the 23-yard line of the Miami Dolphins. Franklin breaks back inside, looks for the 1st down marker, gets up very close to it, perhaps a little short. Will meet the defensive unit of the Oakland Raiders, or excuse me, that's one for me, the Los Angeles Raiders. 3-man front, of course, and it'll change considerably. We'll see a lot of Greg Townsend, a rookie out of Texas Christian, and a rookie from Rutgers named Pickell. The linebackers, what can you say about Ted Hendricks? 14 years he's played, now in his 15th, and has never missed a game because of an injury. The cornerback, Lester Hayes, a great one, has a sore ankle tonight, but he's out there in the lineup. It's 3rd down and 2 as Franklin moves up close to the 27-yard line.
At every level, Hendricks has played for 26 years. Only time he ever missed a game was once in his sophomore year in high school. Incredible physical specimen.
And he's not in the twilight either. He is still getting it done and done well. Matt Moore motions right. Franklin. The pursuit will collect Franklin. Moving up there was Van McElroy.
But the guy that made that play work for him, stopped rather for him for the Raiders, was Rod Martin. I think he's been a little underpublicized with this Raiders defense. He's been just voted the defensive captain for the team, and he did an excellent job.
At this point in time, he is, in fact, the most versatile and most effective of all the linebackers on the team, including the great Hendricks.
Greg Pruitt has dropped back close to his 27-yard line. That's out of respect for this man, the rookie out of Iowa, Reggie Roby. He gets his foot in, and he's a big man. He can put it out of the Coliseum, practically. Great kicker. Slow in getting it off. Doesn't turn it over. Doesn't spiral it. Short kick. Fair catch called for and made by Greg Pruitt up at the 38-yard line. And Jim Plunkett will rally the troops and take them back for their second offensive set. We have 7:46 in the first quarter and no score from Los Angeles.
The long-term record, the Raiders dominating the Dolphins. These teams don't care for one another. That's been evident through the years. But the leaders of the team, Schuler and Al Davis, have maximum respect for each other as football men.
Raiders, second possession, 1st down at their own 38-yard line. Plunkett rolling out right, looking for receiver. Fires deep is Barnwell, and Barnwell had moved behind Brzezinski in front of William Judson. He was wide open, 1st down. Raiders at the 42-yard line of Miami. A 21-yard pickup, and again, a good move by Barnwell to work into that open area.
Yeah, well, what Barnwell is doing, the Oakland receivers are probably the fastest in the league. Miami's defensive, Miami's defensive philosophy is not to give them the deep one, so they're just giving them a cushion right now, and Barnwell is just running a 17-yard out, 17-yard in, and he's wide open.
Working against William Judson, a backup safety a year ago until Don McNeil was hurt. 1st down and 10. Plunkett. Looking deep for the corner. Cliff Branch was there. Cliff Branch working against Gerald Small. Almost came back to get it.
Cliff Branch did what a great veteran receiver will do. He looked at the ball, and he came back on it.
Yeah, Gerald Small had pretty good position.
Certainly did, but look at Cliff right there, coming back on it, leaping for it, just over his reach. He could have had that ball if he were as tall as the Juice.
12 years.
I would have made you a wide receiver.
12 years for Branch. 1 out of every 7 passes he catches has been for a touchdown. He still has the speed. We have a 2nd down and 10. Inside the 42-yard line, Plunkett back again, scrambling. And Plunkett down to the 35-yard line where he's pounded there by Kim Bokamper. Speaking of a great veteran talent, Johnny Mathis was here to do the national anthem honors. This man just rolls on and on.
He sure does. Remember when he did help me make it through the night?
He was a fine high jumper, long jumper from Washington High School.
He was Bill Russell's guest with us at the Munich Olympics. Remember? Frank had a great time during the games.
3rd down and 4.
Until tragedy struck us all down.
Raiders inside the 35-yard line. Marcus Allen. reads it so quickly. He saw it was closed inside, broke it to the outside, gets the first down in the arms of William Judson.
Well, thus far, both teams' game plans have been working. The Raiders said they were going to come out here. They knew they outweighed the Dolphins, and they were just going to try to wear them down. What they're doing now is running basic drive plays on them and let Marcus pick their hold. And in the first drive, they moved the ball right down the field. And the Raiders, the Dolphins' philosophy, let them have a short one, will take advantage when they made a mistake, and they did. And the game is going according to plan.
Allen, 8 carries, has picked up his number, 32 yards. In the 31-yard line, Allen once again finding running room over the right side behind the block of Steve Sylvester and Henry Lawrence.
They're really moving out that Miami defensive line in the very manner that Frank touched on earlier. Raider teams habitually do not have pulling running guards. You don't see the old Lombardi type of sweep in the Raiders offense, only very occasionally. Instead, they want those big men who can pass, block, and who drive straight ahead.
And they're big ones, too. They all go around 270. Allen got 4 yards, second down and 6. Kenny King breaks it back, and he'll have another first down inside the 20-yard line near the 18.
Just as we said, Frank.
They're just blowing out the front three of the defensive line of Miami. Let's take a look at it again. Just surging ahead.
The basic play, they hand it to the fullback and tell him to pick whatever hole is open. You see him cut back, they're blowing him off the line of scrimmage, and what's going to happen is those two Blackwood brothers are playing safety, both Green and Lyle, are going to have to come up to help stop those runs, and that's when that Oakland Raider big play offense will come to be.
First down and 10. The Raiders on another drive. Kenny King, left side, and King this time held to a couple of yards as he gets close to the 16-yard line. It'll be second down and 8.
Big Ted Hendricks. You look great, guy.
A little gray in his hair there, huh?
Not getting any older. You know, the man played quarterback in high school and grade school, Frank.
I think he can play anything he wanted to play.
Yeah, I've been out of the game almost 4 years now, and I played against Ted on this very field. He was the Mad Stork from Miami.
And he was an old man then. Second down and 8. At the 16-yard line, there is no score. 3:39 and the clock is moving in the first quarter. Plunkett either missed the handoff to King and reacted quickly to get it to Allen, or that was a set play. I'd rather think that he missed the handoff.
It looked that way.
Hauser made the stop. It'll bring up a third down and considerable yardage for the first down of 4 yards. It'll put Plunkett into the passing situation.
Yeah, I think Plunkett had a little problem turning around there. It looked like he expected them to run the other way, and he just didn't get turned around and get the handoff off.
But still, they gained yardage.
At the 13-yard line, Plunkett now in the pass situation. He puts Barnwell out to the left, as well as Cliff Branch. They're up there. Branch is in the slot. Barnwell up at the top of your screen. Plunkett, a lot of time trying to get to Christensen. Will have pass interference, I do believe, as Glenn Blackwood was in a shoving, pushing contest with Todd Christensen on the sideline.
I'll tell you, they got Christensen. Yep, you're right, Frank. They got Christensen virtually for nothing. And he's become one of the stick-out tight ends in the league. Another big play man.
This is just immediately after the foul was committed, I do believe. Flag is just flying there, as you saw. Blackwood got himself positioned in front of Christensen, and then...
Well, as you know, Todd Christensen was a running back up at BYU. They liked the way he caught the ball, and they thought he had the size. He ran good patterns, that he'd make a good tight end, and
they had him marked for a tight end. Of course, you'll remember, it was the Cowboys who drafted him number 2, wasn't it?
Second-round pick as a running back. Giants had him for a cup of coffee, and then the Raiders, who had looked at him as a tight end to begin with, got him, and that's where he's playing. A little bit of technical problems here with the scoreboard clock. They're trying to work it out on the field, and we'll look once again at Jim Plunkett, who had that Cinderella season back in 1980. Former Heisman Award winner in his own right back in 1970 and Rookie of the Year in 71 in New England. We'll be back in a moment.
And built a reputation by leading his Oakland Raiders on a famous streak of last-minute victories, trailing Miami with less than a half a minute to go in the 74 playoff. Through a sea of defending Dolphins, Stabler somehow found a lone Raider and a winning touchdown and poured more fuel on the growing Raider legend.
Well, they have rearranged things. The clock is now functioning once again. 2:55 remaining in the first quarter. The Raiders first down goal to go, 3-yard line of Miami. No score here in the first quarter. Hawkins over the right side behind Dalby, and Sylvester into the end zone, and this time the Raiders' drive pays off. It began at the 38-yard line on a poor kick from Roby, fair caught by Pruitt, and the Raiders using Allen most of the way, and then collecting the pass interference penalty at the 3-yard line took it in. We'll have Chris Barr now for the conversion.
This certainly isn't a gimme. Chris Barr has been having a lot of trouble kicking the ball. He missed a couple of field goals last week that he should have had easily.
He's got the thrill back in the conversion for them. Well, it got through the uprights in a peculiar way. There's the man who put it in the end zone. That's Frank Hawkins, a third-year man out of Nevada at Reno. We'll be back in just a moment. Not been able to break one this year, but you remember him from the Super Bowl. He set a Super Bowl record. 4 kickoff returns, 190 yards. He took one for 98 yards just before the half. Chris Barr to kick off, and Walker awaits. Barr hangs it high. Walker, decision time? No, he'll stay in the end zone. And Miami will have their second possession. It'll be out of their 20-yard line following the touchback. And David Whitley trots onto the field as the light begins to fade here in Los Angeles in the early evening with 2:45 remaining in the first quarter. We'll be back at the Coliseum right after this. Memorial Coliseum, where if Howard would have played his college football here, we would have all played there, O.J.
Wise.
It's seen many a great football game, both UCLA, SC, the Rams, the L.A. Dons over the years. It's 30. In 1932, and now the Dolphins, their second possession. Nathan struggles for a couple. Defensively, Howie Long was there.
Well, this certainly isn't unusual. As I said, the L.A. Raiders, that's 4, Juice. The L.A. Raiders, they try to intimidate people. That's the way they play ball. As I said earlier, they felt that they historically have been able to handle the Miami Dolphins. They've beat them up in the past. They felt they've gotten physical with them, and it's paid off later on in the football game. And I really had expected to see a few aggressive penalties on the Raiders' part. Roughing the passer, or, unnecessary roughness.
We've got 4 Oaklands out already. We're in the first quarter. Second down and 8. Woody Bennett's in there for Franklin as Whitley's back. He has the time. The flag is down. We'll get a holding call, I think. Harry Laxo over on the right side. There is the holding call, and it's going to work against the Dolphins.
I thought it was Cooch. I may be wrong.
Could be. Whoever was trying to keep Howie Long.
That's the point. Howie Long
had their hands full.
Most of you will remember Howie Long is the last man out of Villanova, personally scouted by Tom Flores. He is simply a terrific ball player.
And the Dolphins will be backed up. Here's Red Cashin with the word.
Holding number 61 of the offense. Will still be second down.
That's Roy Foster, young Roy Foster, who is in there tonight for Laxo, working against Howie Long. Foster had a great All-American career here at USC, making his first start.
Well, he may have a long night, Frank, against Long.
Yeah, he'll learn quickly. He's a big man. He's 6'4", about 270. Second down and 20. Whitley out of the shotgun. That means that Dwight Stevenson will move over to guard, facing Kutzenberg, and Mark Dennard comes in to do the snapping for the Dolphins. Whitley, that is offensive line, pushed right back into him as we watch Duriel Harris come down out of the 22-yard line, where it'll be second down and about 8.
Interesting to see Harris back in the lineup. He was beset by personal problems which do not tastefully warrant description on the air, and jumped the team, but only briefly, endured a fine, and is back. And one thing about him, problems or no, this is a great receiver.
Personal problems, but he missed a couple of, a couple of meetings, and have not. I think Don Shula lost Jimmy Cephalo and Tommy Vigorito for the season. There might have been further action against Duriel Harris. This is third down, not second down. Whitley puts it up for Harris, and Harris comes down, makes the reception. He's in the arm of brother Mark Clayton. That's that rookie from Louisville we watched in Washington in an exhibition game. He was in the arms of Ted Watts, and he did not have to come down in bounds if he didn't, because Watts was wrestling him out of bounds.
We spotted Clayton in that preseason game that Frank mentioned when Miami clobbered Washington 38-7. This kid from Louisville is a comer. Again, followed the football, underthrown, came back on it. And a young one.
Well, you see a little problem that Ted Watts has been having. He's been getting beat often when he had the guy covered. He had the guy covered pretty well, but he doesn't have good instinct for the ball. He doesn't watch the ball by flight. He doesn't read the receiver well enough to know when the ball is there.
That'll come. He's relatively young, Ted Watts, at the right corner for the Raiders. First down, 47-yard line of the Raiders. That Moore in motion. Franklin follows Ed Newman, who gave him a good block that springs him for about 6 yards.
What's interesting, Juice, is, and we'll probably notice it during the course of the game, they're staying away from Lester Hayes. He didn't have the greatest year a year ago, not for the kind of talent Lester has, but he's back where he belongs, and he is very, very respected.
Of course, Nat Moore will be working over there most of the evening. We mentioned Jimmy Cephalo and Tommy Vigorito gone for the season, both with knee injuries. Nat Moore out of the doghouse, if you will. He had 3 fine receptions last week. Key reception for 42 yards. There he is, top of your screen, former All-Pro, who hadn't seen much action the past couple of years. Franklin surges on the right side, looking for a first down yardage, and he'll be perhaps a yard short. Under Franklin, he came up, they thought they had themselves a good blocking fullback, and he has turned into one of the finer running backs in the league.
Well, Carl Tasev, I mentioned this in that preseason game, deserves all the credit for that. He was sent out to scout a different running back, and he came back and said, the man we want is Franklin.
I'm sure when they brought Franklin in, they brought him in to be a blocker, because he blocked for I.M. Rip Stearns and Jarvis Redwine up in Nebraska, and did an excellent job.
Third down, less than 1. The ball at the 38-yard line of the Raiders. The Raiders on top, 7-0. Tony Nathan gets it easy to the 35-yard line. Tony Nathan, a very versatile back. A good receiver coming out of the backfield. Surprising with Franklin in there to get the call on the short yardage, but he did.
Got a tender hamstring. May have to play it a bit gingerly tonight, but showed no evidence on that play.
Well, what they did when they brought Franklin in, they brought him in to be a blocker for Nathan. And Nathan got hurt last year, and they had to run Franklin a little more, and they found out they had one of the finer fullbacks in the game.
David Woodley, fourth-year man from LSU, looks it over. Hendricks, he will not maybe get credit for the sack, but he was the reason for the sack. He went high in the air. Woodley had no chance to deliver the ball. And the loss will be back to the 42-yard line.
He is still so great at the tease of the program. We showed him, and I said he is still great at getting to the passer, forcing the fumble, though not called such here. Still great at blocking the pass. The only place he's lost it a little bit because of the years past is dropping back against the pass.
Dan Johnson, a second-year tight end from Iowa State for Miami, was supposed to block Hendricks. He got a lesson. He didn't even touch him. We'll be back. Harriet Ewell, our camera person, on a night when you could, well, literally cut the air here in Los Angeles. If you like your air where you can see it, they had that kind of a day today. Tropical storm, or I guess they call it Pacific storm out here. Manuel is somewhere off the Mexico coast, sending a lot of clouds into the area. They're anticipating rains later on this evening and probably tomorrow. But it's a warm, humid night. The Dolphins have a second down and 18. Flags are everywhere. Harris between 2 Raider defenders, but flags are down back where the offensive line was trying to protect Woodley. And you saw the preliminary call, holding once again. Raiders come at you in so many different ways. They change personnel. They move Ted Hendricks all over the line. They say he comes from about 7 or 8 different positions.
I'm sure that holding penalty is going to go against a Greg Townsend, number 93. You know, when the Raiders get a team in a passing situation, they bring in 2 rookies, number 71, Bill Pickell, and Greg Townsend, number 93. And these guys, they think are going to be there long
Holding
enough.
during the pass. number 61 of the offense. Still second down.
Roy Foster now has 2 holds.
Said he's going to have a long night. Watch it right there in the middle of the screen.
These rookies are excellent. They think they're going to be their linemen of the future, and when they get into a situation where they don't have to worry about the run, they're probably as tough as any team in football right now.
Raiders now with the 4 down linemen. That means Townsend is in there, the rookie from Texas Christian, and the rookie from Rutgers, Bill McKell. Second down and a whole bundle for David Whitley. He's under pressure again, gets it off underneath this time. And Nat Moore works his way inside the 40-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and about 13 for David Whitley.
McKell, a young man from Rutgers, is a special delight of Tom Flores. He talked about him with unremitting praise at the production meeting today. They're the first quarter stats. You see the domination in first downs and right down the line for the Raiders. They did have an early turnover. Miami couldn't capitalize, couldn't even follow up with a first down. Had to kick back, and then the Raiders marched downfield again and capitalized.
Woodley once again in the passing situation. 3rd down, long 13. The ball just inside the 39-yard line. Miami down 7-0. Both teams 2-0 on the season. Again, the pressure, the offensive line back in Woodley's face, but he's agile, moves around, looks for a receiver, picked off. It was Jim Davis, the nickelback, a 5th-round draft pick out of Southern University, makes the turnover.
Woodley tipped that play with his eyes, and Davis read it all the way and was just waiting for him to throw it.
Yeah, he saw him trying to tell Nat Moore to scramble a little bit. He wanted Nat Moore to go to the middle of the field, and Davis watched him all the way, and Davis went to the middle of the field and makes the interception. Nat Moore being the all-pro, the former pro he's been, made the tackle. And
Howie Long chasing Woodley out of the pocket, and the Raiders have the ball back at their own 36-yard line.
They can.
Interception for the Raiders. We saw him against San Diego. Quick one off and go 52 yards for a touchdown a year ago. Very opportunistic young man out of Southern University, and the Raiders have a first down and 10 at their 36-yard line. They have a 7-0 lead. Early moments of the second quarter here in Los Angeles. Plunkett will go down, and he tries to rattle the ball, and they're going to say the whistle had blown as A.J. Dewey rained on Plunkett. He put the lateral to Kenny King with the whistle had blown, and the loss will be back inside the 30-yard line.
Take a look at it from the end zone. It looked like they had a stun on, and I think Dewey beat Henry Lawrence. Kenny King didn't get over there to help out.
Well, Jim shouldn't have thrown that ball. He should know better than that. And that was what we saw Dewey doing in the very tease of our program.
28-yard line for the Raiders. Credit Dewey with the sack. Second down and 18. Marcus Allen. Raiders going back to what was working for them, and Allen gets up close to the original line of scrimmage, where it'll be 3rd down and 11. I want to remind you, coming up Saturday, college football up for the game in your area. 3rd down and about 11. Raiders just at their own 35-yard line. Plunkett back again, feeling pressure again. And down goes Plunkett, and he could get called for throwing that one away, but they did not throw the flag. He had a black-shirted Raider apparently in his sights, and that'll bring up 4th down, and we'll see the punting unit and Ray Guy, who has been troubled the past couple of years with a bad back, but he is seemingly all right now. He'll do the punting, and he's done it so well ever since he was a first-round pick in '73. Mark Clayton is deep.
But a good augury in that series for the Dolphins. Twice they got to Jim Plunkett.
And they did it with the blitz. Ray Guy, first-round pick in '73 out of Southern Mississippi. Fell off last year, but they say he's back. This time it's not a good kick. And this is Clayton. And Clayton, fine run back, gets up close to the 40-yard line. Jack Spyrick made the stop for the Raiders, but it'll be first down and 10. Good field position for Miami. They trail by 7. 12:05 remaining in the first half. The Dolphins with the best defensive showing in the early going. Get the football back at their own 39-yard line. And David Woodley now has David Overstreet, a rookie first-round draft pick. A couple of years ago in 1981, went up to Canada. Played up there a couple of years. He's in there now, number 20, along with Andre Franklin. This is Overstreet. Left side, good defensive play. Gain of 1. It'll be second down and 9. Rod Martin was there.
I guess most of you know, even in this early going this year, about Overstreet, a #1 draft choice by the Dolphins, who elected to go to Canada. Proved a fumbler up there. The problem seems to persist in the National Football League for him. And frankly, while Shula's sticking with him, he's been a disappointment to Don thus far.
Well, it seems to be a rash of it this year. Overstreet was a fumbler. He also led the league in rushing. Second and 9. Woodley under a lot of pressure, and he gets it out to Woody Bennett.
Actually, that ball was deflected. Very fortunate.
But at least they're doing something that they're going to have to do. They aren't going to be able to throw the bomb against the Raiders, and I don't think they're going to be able to run consistently against them, and they're going to have to try to hit their backs coming out of the backfield on intermediate pass routes.
That was Bob Nelson, who came in on Woodley, and now you'll see Millen, the big lineman, basically, is what he was at Penn State. A little late getting back to Woody Bennett, but Millen, I'll tell you, is one of the finest linebackers in football today against the run.
Yeah, so is Bob Nelson. That's why they're going to have to take advantage of the size and lack of mobility of the Raiders' 2 inside backers and throw to their back.
Third down and 3. Play action by Woodley, trying to get it on his own. He will not do so.
He went the wrong way. If you're going to run that play, don't run it against Ted Hendricks.
Exactly so.
Reaches out those long arms that extend from a 6'7" frame, and Woodley had no chance. It'll be fourth down, Miami.
They build up linebackers year in and year out, and certainly we've seen 2 great young ones in the past 2 years come up, in Lawrence Taylor and Hugh Green. But give me a guy who shows the kind of durability of Ted Hendricks before you attach greatness to a player.
Yeah.
We can mention a lot of them, but we don't want to forget Chip Banks either the other night.
That's right.
Roby now with the big foot. Greg Pruitt, a lot of respect, back at the 10-yard line. This time Roby really puts it up. Pruitt didn't even give it a second thought. He called for the fair catch while the ball was still rising at the 13-yard line, and that's where the Raiders will begin their possession with 10:03 remaining in the first half. On.
Yeah, she's going through a lot, you know.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's tough to be the wife of a quarterback, isn't it?
Got to be proud of him now. This preseason, he really took a lot of heat here in L.A.
Jerry Plunkett is watch the ups and downs that go with the game of pro football. Marcus Allen over the right side gets about 3 yards out over the 15-yard line.
You saw something happen there. I saw they've had a couple of real problems on handoffs, and that time Plunkett was a little late getting there. As you can see, L.A. a little smoggy there, I think. Frank, just the way you remembered it, huh?
Cut it with a knife.
They call it fog out here.
There's the good old campus of USC right in your lower part of your screen coming in the picture right before we get to the Coliseum.
By the way, Baumhauer closed that hole quickly and effectively on that last rush.
Second down and 3. Kenny King. And down goes Kenny King. Gain of a yard and a half, and the Dolphins are toughening up. Kim Bocamper, the former all-pro linebacker who now works as a defensive end but still operates on many occasions as a linebacker.
They certainly are toughening up.
And with Bill Arnsberg on the sideline, you knew that they'd make some adjustment. Whatever they have to do, they do little things. You don't see them from up here, but they're effective down on the field, taking the one who's lost to the Dolphins as much as I have.
Third down, passing situation for Plunkett, or it should be. Pressure again on Plunkett. He has to roll out. Wide open. Christensen, the tight end, and Christensen, who worked himself into an open area when he saw Plunkett in trouble, gets the Raider first down up at the 45-yard line.
And that's why Plunkett, despite days when he looks so poor to so many people, is really so good.
He sees back. Here comes A.J. Dewey. runs him out of the pocket. You know, Plunkett he's got a lot of criticism. They say he can't run, but he's really a heck of an athlete. He runs 5 miles a day, 3 days after practice, and he was a 4-time high school wrestling champ.
Yet that play did show the tenacity and pursuit of A.J. Dewey, and Jim felt him there.
First down and 10, 45-yard line. Hawkins in motion. This is Marcus Allen. Allen pecking and looking along the line of scrimmage. He'll get a couple. It'll be second down and 8.
Well, you saw the problem that the Raiders had. They're not geared to run outside. Marcus really ran into one of his guards just then. He was just a little slow getting out there, and they're just not a good outside running football team. They picked up Don Hasselback, who I always felt when he was with New England was an excellent tight end for blocking. He blocks well on the outside, so I think once they activate him and get him in the game, he may assist them of getting outside a little better than they do now.
He is activated. We may see him tonight. In the meantime, Shelby Jordan will be activated tomorrow.
47-yard line, first down and 10, or rather second down and 8, and Plunkett back under pressure again, and this time he will go down, and it's Doug Betters, and Doug Betters gets his 6th sack, I guess, of the season. He's leading the NFL.
Yeah, he's become amazing.
We're going to pause 5 seconds and allow our stations along the line to identify themselves. And Plunkett. The Raiders moved up and down the field almost at will in the first quarter. The first going here in the second quarter. The Dolphins have begun to toughen. The Raiders on top, 7-0. Hawkins going in from 3 yards out. Plunkett again pressure. And they blow the whistle dead once again as Plunkett dumps it off to Hawkins, but the sack will stand back inside the 35-yard line. This time it was Bob Baumhauer. And the length of time the Raiders' offensive line was on the field, I think in the heat and the humidity of the evening is beginning to tell on them a little bit. Dolphins, of course, as we look at Mark Clayton, the rookie from Louisville, the Dolphins train in exactly this kind of weather down in Miami. Hot and humid.
Raiders may rue the fact that they couldn't get more points on the board while dominating the game the way Miami's coming along.
They had a 6-minute and 15-second drive, and they got nothing from it. Clayton. And Clayton is taken close to the 20-yard line. Otis McKinney and the Raiders are so good on their special teams. So Miami will begin at their own 20-yard line, following a 45-yard punt from Ray Guy, and we'll be back in just a moment. Against the Raiders tonight, one of these teams will not be undefeated. In all probability, when the night is over, the winner will join the Dallas Cowboys as the only other undefeated team after 3 weeks of NFL play in '83. On first and 10, Overstreet, left side, and finds a big opening. High steps it through and gets the first down out over the 30-yard line. McElroy made the stop for the Raiders.
Let me tell you, Overstreet almost broke that.
Well, that's why they brought him. They need that breakaway runner. Tony Nathan is a good back. He does a lot of good things. He averages, when he's healthy, over 5 yards a carry, but he can't do this. Look at the guy pick his way through and explode.
Okay, that was good blocking out in front. They set up a little wedge, if you will, and he popped right through it, gets the first down, close to the 32-yard line. Kuchenberg out there. Newman was out there. That's the tight end, Dan Johnson. Been a very happy note for Don Shula in training camp. And Rod Martin takes David Overstreet.
And Ted Hendricks.
But Rod Martin's been doing it a long time. He's been voted defensive most valuable player by his Raider teammates. And, of course, this year, for the first time in 4 years, Ted Hendricks is not the defensive captain. His teammates chose Rod Martin as their defensive captain. So that shows the respect that they have of his play.
Rod Martin, been around a while. Raiders cut him, as a matter of fact, back in '77. Went to the 49ers. They cut him. Raiders picked him up again, and he's been a starter now for years. There was a loss of a yard. So a second down and long for Whitley. Whitley, timing pass for Nat Moore, and Nat Moore comes down with it. Working behind Lester Hayes, whom we told you earlier has a very sore ankle, but that was thrown beautifully by Whitley. He just laid it up and let Nat Moore run under it.
They say just lay it up about 2 yards from the sideline. It's a play you see a lot on the goal line. And it's really not much of a pattern. That's taking advantage of that one-on-one coverage. There is almost no way to defend this pass. especially if you get beat at the line like that.
And especially if it's that well thrown.
Hendricks on the pass rush. This time they pick him up pretty good, but he still is right in the face of David Woodley, as he is giving Roy Foster a lesson tonight. 40-yard line is the first down. Overstreet, and Overstreet finds another little gap. And now the Miami Dolphins are asserting themselves offensively.
They really are. As I said, all that time, the Raiders had the ball. They're going to rue the fact they didn't capitalize more than they did. Just one score.
3:32 remaining in the first half. Raiders still on top, 7-0. A good defensive battle. It's kind of nice to see it. We've been watching a lot of people move up and down the football field in the 4 games that we've done in the past 2 weeks. We've got 2 tough defensive teams playing here tonight. Franklin breaks to the outside. He'll get the first down and much more as Franklin barrels inside the 25 to the 22-yard line. First down, Miami. McElroy again on the stop.
You saw a great all-pro, Bob Kuchenberg, come out and put a great block on another great all-pro, Ted Hendricks. This looked like the Green Bay sweep. Number 67 on the right side of your screen. You see him comes out and just takes Hendricks right out of the play. Beautiful block by a 15-year pro.
He really is. He's been around. He's been at the Pro Bowl as a guard and a tackle, and he still gets it done.
That was 13 years of NFL experience going up against one another. 30 years.
22-yard line. First down, the Dolphins trailing by 7. Inside 3 minutes as Franklin is pounded at the 20-yard line. He'll gain about a yard and a half.
That, of course, was Matt Millen, whom we've talked about, right in there, together with Martin. What a fast half. We're coming to the 2-minute warning.
Both teams with 3 timeouts. Franklin will move to the sideline, and we will not have another play before the 2-minute warning. And there it is. 2 minutes remaining to be played in the first half, in a half that really was all the Raiders in the early going, and now the situation is changing. The Dolphins taking control. We'll be back to see if they can get in. Of the Raiders is 2nd down and 8. 2 minutes remaining in the first half. The Dolphins have 3 timeouts. The sun slowly slinks out of sight over Santa Monica, I believe that is.
Yeah. Head for a wide.
2nd down and 8. Big play on this drive. The pass, David Woodley to Matt Moore to pick up 21 yards. Franklin and Overstreet remain the setbacks for Miami. Brother Woody Bennett is in there now. Woodley looking for a receiver, and he fires, and Lester Hayes is there. It's Matt Moore who says that he was pushed out of bounds by Lester Hayes, which might have been the case, nevertheless ruled incomplete.
As you can see, Nat is coming back for the ball. Lester was in bounds when he kicked him out here.
He had reason to complain.
Oh, he looks like he got his toes down to me.
He didn't need his toes down if Hayes pushes him out.
That's correct. And Moore, you can't ever second-guess Don Shula, but Moore was such a great receiver. I can understand his resentment when he was benched for Jimmy Cephala, who, of course, is a fine player and younger.
At a 3rd down and 8, and a little bit of confusion on the part of the Dolphins as we move to the shotgun. Dwight Stevenson moves to guard. Dennard is the snapper. That one batted into the air, and a flag is down, and we could have another holding call against Miami. As Roy Foster, once again working against Ted Hendricks, was being pushed right back into the face. Actually, it was Foster against Townsend. And Townsend had taken Foster right back into the face of Woodley.
Let's look at that reception again that was called out of bounds.
He's clearly in the air when Lester Hayes hits him. And as you say, it's immaterial if his toes got down or not. That looks like a good reception.
Fourth down.
Looks like they declined the penalty and forced them to go for the field goal.
That will bring out Uwe von Schamann. And von Schamann has had 6 consecutive field goals thus far this season. He is 11 straight going back to last year. 15 to 20 a year ago. John Scott, who signed his contract September the 5th, will do the holding on a 37-yard effort by von Schaumann. And good decision on the part of the Raiders as von Schaumann misses for the first time in 12 attempts.
That's a rare thing. You'll remember Uwe von Schaumann's greatest field goal ever with just a couple of seconds left is Oklahoma, where he beat Ohio State.
So it remains 7-0, and we'll be back with more action. But right now, this message from the National Football League. 7-0. They scored in the first quarter, a 3-yard touchdown by Hawkins. First down at 10. They move from their own 20-yard line, and this is Marcus Allen doing his thing as he ambles out for a first down near the 35-yard line.
Well on his way to 100 yards and more for the night. A remarkable ball player. Well, 66 yards already, Juice.
Yeah, they did an interesting thing. He was running the ball real well early in the game. They went right down the field. He coughed it up, and he didn't see the ball for almost a quarter, you know?
Raiders have called timeout. They have 2 remaining. Let's take a look at some action from yesterday. Raiders stopping the clock with the incompletion with 1:30 remaining in the half. They have 2 timeouts remaining. The Dolphins have 3.
Actually, it's 2nd and 10. Marcus made a real nice run to play before that and got the first down. Here's where the Raiders really need to get something going now. They had 2 good drives. They should have had more than 7 points. They can go ahead at least 10-0. I think they'll feel comfortable coming out up 10-0. I guess anybody would, but the Raiders with their defense would feel particularly comfortable.
They go with 3 wide receivers. Calvin Muhammad is in there. 1 setback, and Bocamper spins off Plunkett. Plunkett gets it somehow to Christensen, and he gets the first down.
That was incredible.
47-yard line. A great effort by Plunkett to get away from Bocamper, and then a remarkable catch by Todd Christensen, literally in the arms of a Miami defender, and quickly the Raiders stop the clock with 1:15 remaining in the half. That's Bocamper missing. And somehow Christensen came away with it. And he just continues to get better. They moved him, that tight end, 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, rather, and he had a spectacular season a year ago. So we have timeout here at the Coliseum, 1:15 remaining in the half. And again, a reminder, college football on Saturday. All right, he had a little concussion last Saturday. The Raiders have 1 timeout, 1:15 in the half. They have a 7-0 lead. The ball inside the 47-yard line of the Dolphins. Dolphins' only serious threat was a missed 37-yard field goal by von Schaumann. Flag is down. That should draw a hold against the Raiders. Usually when your quarterback is rambling around back there, the angles change for the blocking offensive lineman, and as they feel the pressure release, they can't help but grab. And it does against the Raiders.
But it's interesting he threw that ball to Todd Christensen. You know, a few weeks ago we were talking about Joe Montana. Whenever he gets in trouble, he looks for Dwight Clark. This is 3 times tonight we've seen Plunkett in a lot of trouble, and he came out throwing the ball to Todd Christensen.
There's the mark-off.
And the time he got away from Bocamper.
Illegal block. Number 79 of the offense. Still first down.
Time he got away from Bocamper, he really rifled the ball to Christensen.
That's Bruce Davis working against 58 Bocamper.
There's about 40 pounds on Bocamper. What's an illegal block?
I guess shoving him out of the peristyle end of the Coliseum.
Yeah, from the back. I guess that could be deemed illegal.
44-yard line, the loss all the way back. That's the time remaining in the half. On first down and 20, Plunkett back again, screening to Marcus Allen with no man in front of it. He was just a checkoff man. It was not a set screen, but he gets back close to the 46-yard line where it will be 3rd down and again long for Plunkett.
They're going to have to get in close for Chris Barr. He doesn't register for distance, as we've told you.
Actually used to. He topped the AFC a couple of years, but he just doesn't have that distance anymore. There's Lester Hayes.
Lester the molester.
What, did he have a year in 1980? Double-digit interceptions.
Lester had that speech impediment. He got better, and he stopped working on it, and he's almost back the way he was a couple of years ago.
2nd down and 9. Christensen has the first down. Hook slides down close to the 30-yard line.
Now you viewers can understand while Plunkett may not be the most graceful quarterback in football, he makes the big plays.
Hurry-up offense for the Raiders. They have one timeout remaining. Inside 40 seconds remaining in the half. Plunkett and his intended receiver, Cliff Branch, slipped, and he was overthrown.
Notice they now have other receivers, though, during the course of a game that they go to more than Cliff Branch. Where Cliff was once the key receiver, that's no longer true.
Calvin Muhammad is in there, working with Malcolm Barnwell and Cliff Branch. All great speed. They have 4 wide receivers that all they make a great relay team because they've all run 9.400s. Cliff Branch having run a 9.300 earlier in his career. Second down and 9. Plunkett, Cliff Branch, first down inside the 15-yard line in the arms of William Judson. One timeout now remaining, and Plunkett will use it. And he'll move over. Decision time for Tom Flores. More 18 seconds on the clock. The Raiders on top, 7-0. They have no more timeouts. And we could look for Plunkett to be very careful with it. He might try to go into the end zone, looking for the touch, but he'll be very careful to avoid the interception. They'd like to add to their 7 points. Beaucamper on the pressure. And Cliff Branch was there. Plunkett saw that he was covered. Out of the end zone, incomplete.
Interesting. 3 times in a row, he went to Cliff. He caught him with the big one for the first down that gives them field goal position. But time still for another shot at this TD.
I think the thing they better look out for is A.J. Dewey. They get in there and sack them. They won't have time to get the field goal team on the field or run a play to throw the ball out of bounds to stop the clock.
All that's going through Plunkett's head, though, I'm quite sure. He feels the pressure. He's going to get rid of it. Avoid the interception. Killing the clock. Just to make sure. Todd Christensen.
Christensen's having some night, and so is that man, the quarterback, Jim Plunkett.
Somehow Christensen got single coverage with William Judson, and it was history. He was wide open, and Plunkett was right on target.
Let's take a look at it from the end zone. You look on the left side of your screen, you'll see Christensen. He looked like he just ran a banana pattern almost. You know, he just bowed out and bowed right over the middle, and Plunkett looked for him, his favorite receiver, and put the ball right on the money.
Dolphins have their work cut out for them.
You have to give Plunkett credit. In the preseason, not only was the press on his case, all his teammates were thinking that Mr. Wilson should have been the quarterback, and since the season started, I don't think I've ever seen him play 3 better games.
Here's Chris Barr.
And has he been having problems?
Chris Barr, I said earlier, he's put the thrill back in the conversion. That could be a very significant missed conversion.
Certainly.
Instead of leading 14-0, we have a 13-0 lead with 9 seconds remaining in the first half. And there's Todd Christensen, we told you earlier. Came up a second-round draft pick with the Dallas Cowboys. They kept him around for quite a while. They had a bunch of good running backs. They let him go. The Giants took a look at the Brigham Young youngster. Raiders picked him up and made a gradual conversion to a tight end, and he's one of the finest around now.
He's got to be feeling pretty good. It's no secret the Raiders were pretty high on Derek Ramsey. They really didn't want to lose him, but to get Shelby Jordan, they felt it was worth it, and Christensen may be feeling a little secure now that the job's his, and he's certainly showing that he rates it.
He's having a terrific night.
9 seconds remaining in the half. Well, no one scored a whole lot of them. The Raiders haven't scored a lot either. Dolphins have been strange. Their 2-0 record coming into this. They beat Buffalo 12-0. They had little or no offense. Woodley throwing for 26 yards. And then last Sunday, a week ago last Sunday, they beat New England with a tremendous offensive showing, 34-24. So they've played 2 distinctly different games coming into the night. Chris Barr drills it along the ground to Fulton Walker. Walker really smacked at the 20-yard line, falls forward. Time for one play for the Dolphins. Kickers They live a strange life. There could be no more exhilarating moments than kicking a winning field goal, and there can be nothing lower than missing one.
Well, you said they live a strange life. I think that could be because majority of them are sort of strange. You know, if you ask the players around the league, we had a few kickers in Buffalo. The pay pittance for being late for practice or late for a team meeting. The coaches used to threaten having them room with the kickers on the road games.
I forget who the kicker was. Said was retired. Said I'd still be kicking if the passport control laws were a little stronger. On 1st and 10, a clock killer for the Miami Dolphins as Andre Franklin picks up 3 or 4 yards. Time expiring. And we have a 13-0 lead on the part of the Raiders over the Dolphins. Of course, we'll have our halftime highlights after this message and a word from our local station. Your first half hero, Todd Christensen. Davis of the Raiders was Plunkett to Todd Christensen to make it 13-0. Bolton Walker is deep, awaiting the kick of the Raiders. Chris Barr. Walker, he'll bring this one out from 3 yards deep. And he's met right at the 15-yard line. Down he goes, hustling there for the Raiders. It was Derek Jensen and Dokie Williams getting down. Dokie Williams played his college football right here for UCLA.
All right, the first quarter stats, Gipper. As you can see, the Raiders dominating right down the line and exclusively almost controlling the football. And the domination was lessened in the second quarter, but still the Raiders playing it very, very tough. The action now in Zeke back.
At the 15-yard line, the lineup remains the same for Miami. Woodley, the quarterback. Nathan, 22. Andre Franklin, setbacks. Duriel Harris, 82. Nat Moore, 89. That's Moore in motion on first down. Franklin, right side. Ted Hendricks fights off the block of Bob Kuchenberg. Actually, Franklin did not help Kuchenberg. He got right up on the back side of Kuchenberg, and Hendricks just played it straight away.
Well, there's Hendricks when he was that's when he was a quarterback.
That's when he was a man.
And Lyle Alzado, who originated from Brooklyn, went to East Rockaway and then to Yankton. And Alzado appears to be forever. He's playing like a man possessed as a Raider.
He was leading in sacks coming in tonight, now in his 13th year, Lyle Alzado. Former boxer who took on Muhammad Ali. I know you recall that, Howard. Something like that. Second down, 13. It was a loss of 3. Woodley fires complete, goes out into the flat, and he looks out there and finds Nat Moore, who lets the pickup short of the first down near the 23-yard line.